Welcome to your daily AI News Digest, sponsored by bestai.org. I'm your host for today's explainer, and we are delivering an objective, grounded look at April 30th, 2026's massive shifts across AI infrastructure, capital, and governance. Let's get right to the facts. To really grasp the sheer scale of today's headlines, we've got to anchor ourselves in Q1 2026's venture funding. Global startup investment just shattered all previous records, hitting an absolutely unprecedented $300 billion. Here's the rundown for today's explainer. We're covering 1. AI infrastructure megadeals. 2. Record-shattering VC funding. 3. The Musk versus OpenAI trial. 4. Geopolitics and AI policy. And finally, 5. Claude Opus and tech updates. Kicking things off with Section 1. AI infrastructure megadeals, featuring $100 billion spin-offs and 6-gigawatt pacts. We're really seeing the rapid physicalization of AI right now. Software just isn't the sole bottleneck anymore, and the major players are moving aggressively to consolidate their physical footprint. Take SoftBank, for instance. They are shifting to an asset-heavy strategy by spinning off a $100 billion U.S.-listed company called Rose. They're uniting some massive acquisitions under one roof here: a $3 billion data center portfolio from Digital Bridge, $6.5 billion for Ampere Computing's custom CPUs, and a $5.4 billion industrial automation unit from ABB. At the exact same time, Meta is making huge moves to break its single-vendor dependency by striking a historic $60 billion deal with AMD, and this really illustrates the new scale of hardware procurement. Meta is securing up to 6 gigawatts of power capacity for custom AMD Instinct MI450 GPUs. But what's truly notable here is the financial structure. This deal comes complete with a massive equity warrant for 160 million shares, which gives Meta roughly a 10% stake in AMD. Now, that structure brings up a critical question. Does a 10% equity warrant signal the rise of circular ownership in AI hardware? Think about it. AMD used this exact same 160 million share structure with OpenAI back in October 2025. So analysts are now deeply scrutinizing these circular transactions where hyperscalers take massive equity stakes in their own critical suppliers. Moving right along to Section 2, record-shattering VC funding, as Q1 pushes startup investment to new heights. Obviously, building out all that infrastructure takes cash, a lot of it. This unprecedented physical build-out is being directly fueled by a historic influx of capital. 4 of the 5 largest venture rounds ever were closed this past quarter, heavily concentrated in US-based frontier labs. OpenAI alone raised an astonishing $122 billion to build out its Stargate data centers, followed by Anthropic at $30 billion and xAI at $20 billion. And that staggering amount of money brings us to Section 3, the Musk versus OpenAI trial, the battle for the mission. So, as these historic sums flow into these organizations, the question of who actually controls them is currently playing out in an Oakland federal courtroom. Let's look at the core claims of this $134 billion civil suit objectively. On one side, Elon Musk accuses OpenAI's leadership, specifically Sam Altman and Greg Brockman, of abandoning their original nonprofit mission. He claims they basically looted a charity and are now enriching themselves via Microsoft. On the other side, OpenAI's defense asserts that Musk previously supported the need for massive capital via a for-profit arm, and they argue he's simply using this lawsuit to bolster his own competing firm, xAI. The stakes of this testimony? Absolutely massive. A ruling in Musk's favor could force the rollback of OpenAI's entire for-profit structure. That would radically alter the competitive landscape, potentially dismantling the commercial framework of a company valued at $157 billion and permanently reshaping the global AI marketplace. Which naturally leads us into Section 4, geopolitics and AI policy and Washington's expanding grip. Because this struggle for control goes way beyond civil court. The U.S. government is stepping in aggressively to regulate and harness AI. The White House just dropped a 6-point national policy framework. It prioritizes protecting children online, safeguarding communities, and respecting intellectual property. But perhaps its most consequential recommendation is the targeted federal preemption of state AI laws. They're actively pushing back against a growing, complex patchwork of local regulations. At the same time, the U.S. Senate has broadened its own AI probe into major tech firms. They are zeroing in heavily on training transparency and potential misuse risks. This is a move that could directly restrict how suppliers like NVIDIA export advanced silicon to specific markets, further tightening Washington's grip on the global hardware supply chain. And all this regulatory tension is coming to a head right now over Anthropic's new cybersecurity model called Mythos. As an internal Anthropic document described it, this is by far the most powerful AI model we've ever developed. Its capabilities are so advanced that it has actually triggered a major diplomatic shift within the administration. Here's how this is playing out. Despite the Pentagon previously blacklisting Anthropic as a supply chain risk for refusing to remove autonomous weapons guardrails, the White House is now quietly drafting an executive bypass. They're drafting this guidance specifically to bypass that Pentagon label, just to grant federal agencies access to the Mythos model. It's a very clear signal of how the desire for strategic technological access is clashing head-on with established defense protocols. Bringing us to our fifth and final section, Claude Mythos and tech updates. To really grasp why these models are causing such massive geopolitical waves, we need to look at today's actual software releases. Anthropic has officially made Claude Opus 4.7 generally available. The key upgrades here include advanced autonomous software engineering, a new X-high effort level for deep reasoning, and massive 3.75 megapixel vision support, which is a 3x increase from previous versions. It's expressly built for sustained reasoning over long-running asynchronous tasks. Opus 4.7 also introduces what they call creative connectors. This workflow directly bridges AI reasoning into professional software. It features native integration into tools like Adobe, Autodesk, Blender, and even Ableton. By using natural language commands to interpret complex design requests, Claude essentially acts as an autonomous, real-time creative collaborator now, whether you're scripting 3D animations or editing audio. Finally, in a pretty massive cloud infrastructure pivot, Sam Altman confirmed OpenAI is expanding its cloud footprint. They announced an AI agent co-development platform directly on Amazon Web Services, or AWS. This is huge, as it signals an end to their strict Microsoft exclusivity. They are actively diversifying their deployment and securing more enterprise infrastructure across the board. So, we've covered a ton of ground today. We are watching intelligence become scalable, while simultaneously relying on massive, tightly controlled physical infrastructure. When you step back and look at all of this, the $100 billion data center deals, the high-stakes legal battles, and the executive bypasses, one thing becomes crystal clear. The AI war is no longer just about code, it is a full-blown battle for physical and geopolitical control. Thank you for tuning in to today's Explainer, your daily AI news digest, sponsored by best-ai.org. I want to leave you with this final thought. As this technology entirely reshapes global infrastructure, who will truly govern the foundations of our future economy? Think about it, and we will see you tomorrow.